Commander Jake Morrison sat in his chair on Luna Base, watching the stars through the big window. The moon base was quiet tonight. Most of the crew was sleeping. Jake liked these quiet hours when he could think about his family back on Earth. The computer made a soft beeping sound. Jake looked at the screen. A message was coming in from deep space. This was strange. Most messages came during the day shift. "Amy, wake up," Jake called to Lieutenant Amy Foster, who was dozing at her desk. "We have something coming in." Amy rubbed her eyes and looked at her computer. Her face went white. "Sir, this is not normal traffic. This is a distress call, a big one." The message was hard to understand at first. It was in the old alien language that only the smart computers could translate. Amy worked fast, her fingers moving over the controls. "It's from the Kepler sector," Amy said. "From Ambassador Zexstar of the Alterian Republic. Sir, he says they need help. Big help." Jake moved to Amy's station. The message was getting clearer as the computer worked on it. What he heard made his stomach feel sick. "My people are dying," the alien voice said through the translator. "The Vorthok swarm has come to our worlds. They eat everything. They take all life and leave only dead rocks behind. We cannot stop them. No one can stop them." More messages started coming in. Amy's computer was going crazy with signals from all over the galaxy. Jake had never seen anything like it. "Sir, I'm getting calls from everywhere," Amy said. Her voice was shaking. "The Draxi Empire, the Hegemony, the Free Colonies. Everyone is asking for help." Jake picked up his phone and called Captain Ben Carter on Earth. Ben was sleeping, but this could not wait. "Ben, wake up. We have a big problem. The whole galaxy is calling for help." Captain Ben Carter was on a ship to Nexus Prime 6 hours later. He had never seen the Galactic Council move so fast. The emergency meeting was starting right away. The council chambers looked different. Usually, the alien leaders sat calmly and talked about trade and treaties. Today, they looked scared. Some were crying, others were shaking. High Counselor Vel stood up. She was from the Hegemony, one of the oldest and strongest races in the galaxy. Ben had never seen her look afraid before. "Friends, we face the end of everything," she said. "The Vorthok swarm has destroyed 3 major worlds in the last week. Their ships cannot be stopped by our weapons. They learn from every battle and get stronger." A small alien from the Draxi Empire stood up. "My home world is gone. 2 billion of my people, all dead. The swarm ships came from nowhere. Our best fleet could not even slow them down." Ben listened as more aliens told the same terrible story. The Vorthok swarm was not like other enemies. They did not want land, or money, or power. They wanted to eat every living thing in the galaxy. "Their ships are alive," said Counselor Z. "They grow and change. When we hit them with energy weapons, they grow shields. When we use missiles, they grow armor. We cannot hurt them anymore." Ambassador Zexstar spoke next. His people, the Alterians, had been fighting space wars for thousands of years. They were known as the best warriors in the galaxy. "We have tried everything," Zexstar said. "All our battle plans, all our weapons, all our tricks. Nothing works. The swarm thinks in ways we do not understand. They use tactics we have never seen." The chamber went quiet. Ben could hear the fear in the silence. Then Counselor Valtara said something that surprised everyone. "We need the humans to lead us." The chamber exploded with noise. Aliens were shouting and arguing. Ben could not believe what he heard. "The humans?" asked a leader from the core worlds. "But they have no real military. They have been peaceful for 200 years. "That is exactly why we need them," Valtara said. "Look at their history before they joined us. Look at how they fought wars on their own world. They think about fighting in ways we do not." Zethmos stood up with a datapad in his hands. "I have studied human military history. These people fought wars for thousands of years. They used tricks and tactics that no civilized race would ever think of. They fought in ways that were not honorable, said another alien leader. Honor will not save us from the swarm, Veltara replied. We need someone who thinks like a warrior, not like a gentleman. Ben's head was spinning. Earth had been a small, quiet member of the Galactic Council for over 200 years. They traded goods and helped solve small problems between other races. No one had ever asked them to fight a war. The humans have something we do not, Zeth continued. They have military thinking that evolved from constant war. While we were building peaceful civilizations, they were learning to fight. Every battle taught them something new. An old alien from the frontier systems spoke up. I have read their military books. They wrote down every trick, every tactic, every way to win a battle. They have thousands of years of war knowledge. But can they really help us? Asked another leader. This is not a war between human tribes. This is a galactic threat. Veltara looked directly at Ben. Captain Carter, will Earth help us? Will your people lead our forces against the swarm? Ben thought about Jake Morrison on Luna Base, watching all those distress calls come in. He thought about the aliens crying for help. He thought about what would happen if the swarm reached Earth. I will take your request to my leaders, Ben said. But I think you should know something about humans. When someone asks us for help, we usually say yes. And when someone threatens our friends, we get very angry. The meeting ended with a vote. For the first time in galactic history, all the major races agreed on something. They would ask the humans to save them. As Ben left for Earth, he wondered if his people were ready to become warriors again. Earth had been peaceful for so long, but deep down, he knew the truth. Humans had never really stopped being fighters. They had just been waiting for a good reason to fight. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could do when they were properly motivated. The Vorthog swarm had made a big mistake. They had threatened humanity's friends. Ben smiled as his ship jumped to faster than light speed. The swarm was about to meet the most dangerous predator the galaxy had ever known, an angry human with a good cause. President Linda Hayes looked around the big table in the White House Situation Room. She had called together all the top military leaders on Earth. The room was full of people who had spent their whole lives thinking about war, even though Earth had been at peace for 200 years. General Paul Warren was the first to speak. He was the head of Earth's Space Defense Force. Most people thought the SDF was just for protecting Earth from asteroids and space junk. They were wrong. Madam President, we have been studying the reports from the Galactic Front. General Warren said the Vorthog swarm is using tactics that the aliens cannot understand, but we can. He turned on the big screen. Pictures of alien ships appeared, twisted and broken. The aliens fight like gentlemen, Warren continued. They line up their ships. They announce their attacks. They follow rules. The swarm does not follow any rules. They attack from all sides at once. They use tricks. They lie. Admiral Kate Sullivan leaned forward. She commanded Earth's secret fleet. Most aliens thought Earth only had a few small ships for trade and exploration. They had never seen what humans could really build. General Warren is right, Admiral Sullivan said. I have been watching the battle records. The aliens are trying to fight an honor war against an enemy that has no honor. They will lose every time. President Hayes looked worried. Can we really help them? We have not fought a real war in over 200 years. Colonel Rick Hayes stood up. He was not related to the president, even though they had the same last name. He ran Earth's Special Operations Command. Madam President, we have never stopped preparing for war, Colonel Hayes said. We just got very good at hiding it. Every military academy on Earth still teaches combat tactics. Every officer studies the old wars. We remember how to fight. The president looked surprised. What do you mean? We have been hiding it? Admiral Sullivan smiled. Madam President, would you like to see what we have really been building in those asteroid belt factories? She pressed a button, and the screen changed. Now it showed pictures of huge ships covered in weapons and armor. They looked nothing like the peaceful trading vessels that most aliens had seen. This is the ESS Titan, Admiral Sullivan said. We have been building her in secret for 10 years. She is not a trading ship or an exploration vessel. She is a battleship. A real battleship, designed to fight and win wars. General Warren took over the presentation. We have been building a real military for 200 years. We told everyone. We were making mining equipment and construction tools. We were actually making weapons and warships. More pictures appeared on the screen. Factories on the Moon and Mars were building things that looked very different from what Earth had been selling to the galaxy. We have kinetic bombardment systems, General Warren explained. Missiles that can hit a target from the other side of a solar system. Electromagnetic pulse weapons that can shut down entire fleets. Battle computers that can coordinate thousands of ships at once. Major Lisa Chang spoke up from her seat at the table. She led Earth's Special Forces Command. The aliens fight like they are playing a game with rules, Major Chang said. They announce their moves. They attack in straight lines. They try to be fair. We don't fight fair. We fight to win. She stood up and walked to the screen. I have been studying human military history. We have fought wars on land, on sea, in the air, and in space. We have learned every dirty trick, every clever tactic, every way to beat an enemy that is bigger and stronger than we are. President Hayes was starting to understand. You are saying we have been preparing for this kind of war all along? Yes, Madam President, Colonel Hayes replied. We learned a long time ago that peace is only possible when you are ready for war. We have been ready for 200 years. Dr. Helen Ross raised her hand. She was the head of Earth's Weapons Development Division. Most aliens thought she made medical equipment and farming tools. Madam President, we have technologies that the galaxy has never seen, Dr. Ross said. We have been very careful not to show them our real capabilities. Most aliens think human technology is primitive compared to theirs. What kind of technologies? The President asked. Adaptive artificial intelligence for battle planning, Dr. Ross replied. Nanotechnology for ship repair and weapons systems. Quantum computers for breaking enemy codes. And psychological warfare techniques that can break an enemy's will to fight. General Warren turned to a new page in his briefing. The Vorthok swarm thinks they are smart because they can adapt to alien tactics, but they have never seen human tactics. We change our plans during the battle. We use multiple strategies at the same time. We attack where the enemy does not expect us. Admiral Sullivan added, the aliens use their biggest ships first, because they think size equals strength. We use our smallest ships first, to learn about the enemy. Then we use our big ships to finish them off. The aliens try to save their soldiers, Major Chang said. That is good for peace, but bad for war. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a few people to save everyone else. Humans understand this. We have been making these hard choices for thousands of years. President Hayes was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. If we do this, if we take command of the galactic forces, everything will change. The aliens will never look at us the same way again. That is true, Madam President, General Warren said. But if we do not do this, there might not be any aliens left to look at us at all. The President looked around the room. These people had spent their whole lives preparing for a war that they hoped would never come. Now it was here, and it was bigger than anyone had imagined. How fast can we mobilize? She asked. The first fleet can launch in 24 hours, Admiral Sullivan replied. We have been keeping them ready for immediate deployment. The aliens do not know this, but we have ships positioned all around the solar system. What about our industrial capacity? The President asked. Colonel Hayes answered. We can switch from civilian production to military production in less than a week. Every factory on Earth, Mars, and the Moon can start making weapons and ammunition. We planned this conversion a long time ago. Dr. Ross added, our research facilities have been working on military projects disguised as civilian research. We have new weapons systems that are ready for immediate production. President Hayes made her decision. Do it. Mobilize everything. Send a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them that Earth accepts their request. Tell them that the human military is coming to help. As the meeting ended, the military leaders began making phone calls and sending orders. All over the solar system, factories began changing their production lines. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields started moving toward Earth. The galaxy was about to see what humans had really been doing for the last 200 years. They had been preparing for war. They had been studying, planning, and building. They had been waiting for the day when someone would threaten their friends. That day had finally come. Admiral Sullivan looked out the window at the stars. Soon, those stars would see human warships for the first time. The aliens had asked for help, and they were going to get more help than they ever imagined. The Vorthok swarm had made a terrible mistake. They had awakened the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. They had awakened humanity. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the ESS Titan as it jumped out of faster-than-light travel. Around her, 11 other human warships appeared in space like deadly shadows. The Kepler system spread out before them, and it was not a pretty sight. Dead alien ships floated everywhere. Some were cut in half. Others looked like they had been chewed up by giant metal teeth. This was what was left of the Alterian Defense Fleet. Captain Dan Foster called from his ship, the ESS Ranger. Admiral, I'm picking up life signs from some of those wrecks. There are survivors out there. Send rescue teams, Admiral Sullivan ordered. But keep your weapons ready. We don't know where the swarm ships are. Lieutenant Nina Clark was working at her station on the Ranger. She was the tactical officer, and her job was to study how the enemy fought. Captain Foster, she said, I'm looking at the damage patterns on these ships. The aliens were attacked from 6 different directions at the same time. The swarm doesn't fight fair. Sergeant Tom Brady was checking the weapon systems. He had been a soldier for 15 years, and he had studied every human war in history. That's good, Brady said. We don't fight fair either. A small alien ship came toward them. It was badly damaged, with burn marks all over its hull. Admiral Sullivan opened a communication channel. This is Commander Zexstar of the Alterian Republic, a tired voice said. Are you the humans we were told about? Yes, Admiral Sullivan replied. We are here to help. What can you tell us about the enemy? Zexstar's ship docked with the Titan. When the alien commander came aboard, Admiral Sullivan was surprised by how he looked. Zexstar was tall and thin, with blue skin and 4 arms. But his eyes looked just like a human soldier who had seen too much war. Admiral, your ships are not what I expected, Zexstar said, looking around the Titan's bridge. They look like they were built for fighting, not for exploring. That's because they were built for fighting, Admiral Sullivan replied. Show me what happened here. Zexstar led them to the tactical room. A big hologram showed the battle that had destroyed his fleet. We had 43 ships, Zexstar explained. Good ships, with experienced crews. We formed a battle line, just like we always do. We waited for the enemy to approach, and then we opened fire. Admiral Sullivan watched the hologram. The alien ships were arranged in a neat row, like soldiers, standing at attention. That was your first mistake, she said. Zexstar looked confused. What do you mean? That is how space battles are fought. It has been the proper way for thousands of years. Captain Foster was also watching the hologram. Where did the enemy ships come from? Everywhere, Zexstar said. They came from above, below, and from both sides. Some came from behind asteroid fields, others appeared from inside the gas giant's rings. We could not defend against attacks from so many directions. Lieutenant Clark studied the enemy movements. They used the asteroids and the planet's gravity to hide their approach. That's actually pretty smart. Smart? Zexstar asked. It was dishonorable. A proper battle should be fought in open space, where both sides can see each other. Admiral Sullivan shook her head. Commander, the first rule of war is that there are no rules. The enemy wants to kill you. You want to stop them. Everything else is just conversation. Major Lisa Cheng's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, my scouts are detecting Vorthok ships in the outer system. Looks like a patrol group, maybe 6 ships. Perfect, Admiral Sullivan said. Time for the enemy to meet some humans. Captain Foster, take your squadron and show them how we fight. Captain Foster smiled. Yes, ma'am. Ranger Squadron, follow me. We're going hunting. The ESS Ranger and 3 other ships moved away from the main fleet. They were smaller and faster than the Titan. Built for hit-and-run attacks, Zexstar watched the human ships on the tactical display. Admiral, your ships are moving in a very strange pattern. They are not staying together. That's the point, Admiral Sullivan explained. We don't fight in straight lines. We use terrain. We use tricks. We use whatever works. On the Ranger, Lieutenant Clark was tracking the enemy ships. Captain, the Vorthok patrol is moving through the asteroid field. 6 bioships, just like Major Chang said. Good, Captain Foster replied. Nina, what do those ships look like to you? Clark studied her screens. They're organic, sir. They look like giant insects with wings, and they're moving in a straight line, just like the aliens do. Sergeant Brady laughed. They haven't learned about human tactics yet. This is going to be fun. Captain Foster ordered his ships to split up. 2 ships went above the asteroid field. 2 went below. The Ranger went straight through the middle, but stayed hidden behind the big rocks. The Vorthok ships saw the Ranger and moved to attack it. They thought it was alone. Now, Captain Foster said quietly, the other human ships attacked from above and below at the same time. The Vorthok ships were caught completely by surprise. Their bioarmor was strong, but they had never faced kinetic weapons that hit with the force of small meteorites. One Vorthok ship exploded immediately. Another one was cut in half by a missile that came from a direction they had not been watching. They're trying to adapt, Lieutenant Clark reported. Their armor is changing to protect against our weapons. Then we'll change our weapons, Sergeant Brady said. He switched from kinetic rounds to electromagnetic pulse missiles. The EMP weapons shut down the bioship's nervous systems. They floated helplessly in space as the human ships finished them off. The entire battle lasted less than 10 minutes. Admiral Sullivan, Captain Foster reported. Enemy patrol destroyed. No human casualties. We captured 1 damaged bioship for study. Back on the Titan, Zexstar stared at the tactical display. How did you do that? 6 Vorthok ships should have been able to destroy a dozen of our vessels. We didn't fight them the way they expected, Admiral Sullivan explained. They were ready for an honor battle. We gave them a real battle. Dr. Helen Ross was already studying the captured bioship. Admiral, this is fascinating. The enemy ships are alive, but they think like a hive mind. They share information instantly, but they can't adapt fast enough when we change tactics quickly. What does that mean? Zexstar asked. Major Chang answered from her ship. It means we can beat them. The swarm learns from battles, but they need time to adapt. If we keep changing our tactics, they can't keep up. Admiral Sullivan looked at the star charts. Commander Zexstar, where is the main Vorthok force? They have taken over the 4th planet, Zexstar replied. They are using it as a base to harvest biological material from the other worlds in the system. How many ships? At least 200. Maybe more. Admiral Sullivan thought for a moment. We have 12 ships. They have 200. In a traditional battle, we would lose. Then what do we do? Zexstar asked. Admiral Sullivan smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator that had just found prey. We don't fight a traditional battle, she said. We fight a human battle. Captain Foster, Major Chang, Colonel Hayes, report to the briefing room. We're going to teach the Vorthok swarm what humans learned from 1,000 years of war. As the human officers gathered to plan their attack, Zexstar realized something that made him both hopeful and a little afraid. The humans were not just different from other galactic races. They were dangerous in ways that no one had imagined. The Vorthok swarm was about to learn why humans had been the most successful predator on their home world. They were about to learn what happened when you threatened something that humans cared about. They were about to meet humanity's true face, the face of war. The news of the human victory at Kepler spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the great meeting halls of a dozen worlds, alien leaders watched the battle recordings with amazement and growing hope. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the command center of the new combined fleet. Around her, officers from 6 different species worked together under human leadership. The ESS Titan had become the flagship of the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Ben Carter was working with alien military commanders who had never seen tactics like the ones humans used. Commander Zexstar was there, along with General Vexter from the Hegemony and Admiral Kolinor from the Draxi Empire. I still do not understand, General Vexter said. He was a large, bear-like alien with thick gray fur. Your ships are smaller than ours, but they move faster than we thought possible. Captain Carter pulled up a display showing human ship designs. General, your ships are built like flying cities. They are beautiful and comfortable, but they are not built for war. Our ships are built like weapons. Every part serves the mission of fighting and winning. Admiral Kolinor studied the human battle plans. She was from a race that looked like tall, thin birds with colorful feathers. These tactics you use, attacking from multiple directions, using deception, striking and running away, these are not honorable. You're right, Captain Carter said. They are not honorable, but they work. And right now, working is more important than being honorable. Dr. Helen Ross was in her laboratory with alien scientists from across the galaxy. They were studying captured Vorthok technology and learning things that amazed them. The binge are incredible, said Dr. Zethkim, a scientist from the core worlds. They can repair themselves. They can adapt to new weapons. They can even reproduce in space. Yes, Dr. Ross said, but they have a weakness. They are all connected to each other through a bioneural network. When we disrupt that network, they become confused. She showed the alien scientists a new weapon that human engineers had built. This is a neural disruptor. It sends out signals that interfere with the Vorthok hive mind. When they can't communicate with each other, they fight like individual animals instead of a coordinated force. Major Lisa Chang was training alien special forces in human combat techniques. Her students included warriors from races that had been fighting for thousands of years, but they had never learned to fight the way humans did. Forget everything you know about honorable combat, Major Chang told her class. The enemy does not care about honor. They want to kill you and eat your home world. Your job is to stop them by any means necessary. A young Alterian warrior raised his hand. Major Chang, my people have always believed that how you fight is as important as whether you win. That's a luxury you can't afford anymore, Chang replied. Look around you. Half the galaxy is dead or dying. The Vorthok swarm doesn't follow rules, so we can't either. She demonstrated a technique called hit and fade. Human soldiers would attack quickly, cause damage, and then disappear before the enemy could respond. This is how we survived on Earth, Chang explained. We were not the biggest or strongest creatures on our world, but we were the smartest. We learned to use tools, to work together, and to think faster than our enemies. The real test came at the Battle of Rigel Station. The Vorthok swarm had gathered their largest fleet ever, over 800 bioships to destroy. the most important trade center in the galaxy. Admiral Sullivan commanded 3,000 ships from 20 different species. It was the largest space battle in galactic history. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Sullivan, she said over the communication channels. Remember your training. Remember the plan. Do not try to be heroes. Do your job, trust your allies, and we will win this battle. The alien commanders had been nervous about following human tactics, but they had seen what happened when humans led the fighting. Small human forces had defeated large Vorthok fleets by using speed, deception, and superior tactics. General Paul Warren was commanding the battle from Earth. He watched the tactical displays as ships from across the galaxy moved, according to human battle plans. Phase 1 is beginning, he announced. All light forces begin harassment attacks. Hundreds of small ships attacked the edges of the Vorthok formation. They did not try to destroy the biome. They just hit them and ran away. Like mosquitoes biting a giant beast, the Vorthok ships tried to chase the small attackers. But every time they moved, more human-led forces attacked them from different directions. Phase 2, Admiral Sullivan ordered. Heavy cruisers begin flanking maneuvers. Larger ships moved around the sides of the Vorthok fleet. The aliens had learned from humans that you should never attack an enemy from just one direction. Always give yourself multiple options. Captain Dan Foster was leading a squadron of mixed human and alien ships. Remember, we're not trying to win a fair fight, he told his pilots. We're trying to make the fight as unfair as possible, in our favor. The Vorthok ships began to adapt to the human tactics, but Admiral Sullivan had planned for this. Phase 3, she ordered. All ships implement Chaos Protocol. This was a human invention that no alien had ever seen before. Every ship in the fleet began using different tactics at the same time. Some attacked directly. Others used hit-and-run tactics. Some ships pretended to retreat, then turned around and attacked when the enemy followed them. The Vorthok hive mind could not adapt fast enough. They had learned to counter one type of attack, but the humans were using dozens of different attack patterns simultaneously. Neural disruptors, fire, Dr. Ross ordered from her command ship. The new weapons sent out signals that disrupted the bioneural network connecting the Vorthok ships. Suddenly, the organized swarm became a confused mob of individual creatures. All ships, final assault, Admiral Sullivan commanded. 3,000 ships attacked the confused Vorthok fleet from every direction. The bioships cut off from their hive mind could not coordinate their defense. The battle was over in 2 hours. 700 Vorthok ships were destroyed. The remaining 100 fled into deep space. The combined fleet had lost only 3 ships, and most of those crews had been rescued in the aftermath of the victory. Alien leaders across the galaxy began to understand what had really happened. Humans had not just won a battle. They had changed the way wars were fought. Commander Zexstar found Admiral Sullivan on the bridge of the Titan after the battle. "Admiral, I need to ask you something," he said. "How long have your people been planning for a war like this, Admiral?" Sullivan looked out at the stars, where human and alien ships were working together to rescue survivors and repair damaged vessels. "Commander, humans have been planning for war since the day we first looked up at the stars and wondered if we were alone," she said. "We hoped we would never need to fight, but we never stopped preparing for the possibility. And now? Now the galaxy knows that humans are not just traders and diplomats. We are also warriors, and we are very good at it." The victory at Rigel Station marked the turning point in the war against the Vorthok swarm. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens had hope. But more importantly, they had something they had never had before: human military leadership. The galaxy was learning that sometimes the most peaceful people made the most dangerous enemies, and the Vorthok swarm was about to learn what happened when you made humans angry enough to show their true capabilities. The war was far from over, but now the galaxy had a chance to win. They had humanity on their side. The final attack on the Vorthok home system required every ship in the galaxy. Admiral Kate Sullivan looked out from the bridge of the ESS Titan at the largest fleet that had ever been assembled. 10,000 ships from 50 different worlds, all following human battle plans. "This is it," she said to her officers. "Everything we have learned, everything we have built, everything we have fought for, comes down to this battle." Captain Dan Foster was commanding the advanced scouts. His job was to find the Vorthok command center and figure out how to destroy it. The enemy home system was unlike anything humans had ever seen. "Admiral, you need to see this," Foster reported. From the ESS Ranger, "The whole system is alive. The planets, the moons, even some of the asteroids. They're all part of one giant organism." Lieutenant Nina Clark was studying the sensor readings. "Captain, I'm detecting a massive bioneural network. It connects everything in the system. This isn't just a base, it's like a giant brain." Dr. Helen Ross was working with alien scientists to understand what they were facing. The Vorthok home system had been growing for millions of years, consuming other star systems and adding their matter to the collective. "If we can find the central processing node," Dr. Ross said, "we might be able to shut down the entire network, but it will be heavily defended." General Paul Warren was coordinating the attack from Earth. He had studied every battle in human history, and this was going to be the biggest one ever fought. "All fleet commanders, listen carefully," he said over the communication channels. "The enemy has had millions of years to prepare for this moment. They will use every trick, every weapon, every defense they have ever learned." Major Lisa Chang was leading the special assault teams that would have to fight their way into the command center. Her soldiers included humans and aliens, all trained in the brutal close combat techniques that humans had perfected over thousands of years. "Remember," she told her teams, "once we get inside that thing, we're going to be fighting in spaces that were designed for creatures very different from us. Stay together, watch each other's backs, and don't try to be heroes." The battle began when the combined fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Immediately, thousands of Vorthok ships swarmed toward them like angry insects. "Phase 1, Admiral Sullivan ordered. All light forces, begin diversionary attacks." This was the largest version of the tactics that had worked so well at Right Station. Small, fast ships attacked from every direction, making the enemy think the main assault was coming from multiple places at once. The Vorthok ships were bigger and more advanced than any the humans had fought before. These were the original bioships, the ones that had conquered hundreds of star systems, but they still thought like a hive mind. And Admiral Sullivan had learned how to use that against them. "Neural disruptors, maximum power," she ordered. Dr. Ross had built bigger and better versions of the weapons that had worked so well before. The new disruptors sent out signals that could disrupt bioneural networks across an entire star system. The effect was immediate. The organized Vorthok defense began to break apart as individual ships lost contact with the central command. "Phase 2, Admiral Sullivan announced. Heavy assault groups, begin planetary bombardment." This was something that most alien races would never have considered. The idea of destroying planets went against everything they believed about the value of life and the importance of preserving worlds for future generations. But humans understood that sometimes, to save everything, you had to be willing to destroy anything. Captain Ben Carter was leading one of the bombardment groups. His ships used kinetic weapons to attack the living planets themselves. "Target the bioneural connection points," he ordered. "We're not trying to kill the planets, we're trying to cut them off from the network." Each hit sent shockwaves through the system-wide organism. The Vorthok command structure, which had controlled millions of ships across the galaxy, began to collapse. Captain Foster found what they were looking for on the third planet from the star. "Admiral, I've located the central command node. It's buried deep inside the planet, but I can see the access points." Major Chang's assault teams prepared for the most dangerous mission in human military history. They would have to fight their way through miles of living tissue, in tunnels designed for creatures that could barely fit through them. Lock and load, Chang told her soldiers. We're going into the belly of the beast. The assault ships landed on the planet's surface and immediately began drilling downward. The planet itself fought back, trying to seal the holes and trap the invaders inside. But human military engineers had planned for this. They used thermal charges and acid weapons to keep the tunnels open as the assault teams moved deeper into the living world. The fighting inside the command center was unlike anything that had ever happened before. Chang's teams fought through corridors made of bone and muscle, against defenders that looked like nightmares from the darkest human imagination. Keep moving, Chang shouted as her soldiers advanced through a tunnel that was trying to close around them. We're almost there. The central command chamber was huge, filled with biomechanical computers that had been thinking for millions of years. In the center was the master control node, a brain the size of a building, connected to every Vorthok ship in the galaxy. Plant the charges, Chang ordered. Her demolition experts placed quantum explosives around the central brain. These were weapons that could destroy matter at the atomic level, making sure that nothing would be left to regenerate. All teams, this is Chang, she reported to Admiral Sullivan. Charges are set. We're ready to blow this thing to hell. Do it, Admiral Sullivan replied. The explosion that destroyed the Vorthok command center was felt across the entire galaxy. Every bioship, every living weapon, every piece of swarm technology suddenly went silent. The war was over. In the months that followed, the galaxy slowly began to rebuild. But everything had changed. The old order, where different species fought small wars and competed for trade advantages, was gone forever. President Linda Hayes stood before the reformed Galactic Council on Earth. The meeting was being held in the new capital of galactic civilization. The Vorthok swarm taught us something important, she said to the assembled alien leaders. When we fight each other, we are all weak. When we fight together, we are unstoppable. Admiral Sullivan became the first Supreme Commander of the Galactic Defense Initiative. Her job was to make sure that no threat like the Vorthok swarm could ever threaten the galaxy again. The new military force combined human tactical thinking with alien technology and resources. Ships from dozens of worlds served under human commanders, using battle plans developed from thousands of years of human warfare. Commander Jake Morrison, who had first detected the distress calls from the Kepler sector, was now Admiral Morrison, head of the new Galactic Military Academy on Earth. Young aliens came from across the galaxy to learn human military doctrine. They studied the art of war alongside human cadets, learning that sometimes the most important lesson was how to fight without fighting. War is not about being strong, Admiral Morrison taught his students. War is about being smart. It is about working together. It is about being willing to do whatever it takes to protect the people you care about. The galaxy had learned that humans were not just peaceful traders. They were also the most effective military force that had ever existed. But more importantly, they had learned to use that force only when it was necessary. Years later, Captain Dan Foster stood on the bridge of his new ship, looking out at stars that were now safe from the Vorthok threat. Children played on worlds that had almost been destroyed. Trade routes that had been cut off were now busier than ever. You know what the best part is? He said to Lieutenant Clark, who was now a commander herself. What's that, sir? We did it without becoming monsters ourselves. We fought the most brutal enemy the galaxy had ever seen, and we managed to stay human. The galaxy was at peace, protected by warriors who understood that the purpose of strength was not to dominate, but to defend. Humanity had shown the galaxy what they were capable of when properly motivated, and the best part was that no one would ever have to see it again, because now everyone knew, if you threatened the galaxy, you would have to face the humans, and that was a fight that no enemy could win. The crisis was over. The galaxy was safe, and humanity had found its true place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as protectors. It was exactly where they belonged.